Hello and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. I'm your host, Lewis Carlin, and we're part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, and this is the Impact Wrestling edition of the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. Good to be back this week to go over Impact Wrestling with you guys. I am actually in Pickering, Ontario this week, recording out of a hotel here on business, and I am actually happy that I'm away. Of course, we know I've moved to Windsor, Ontario, but back in the Toronto area in Pickering. Actually, it's a little, it's north and east of the Toronto area. Doing some work here for the company I work for. But like I said, I'm glad I'm here because I got a chance to be here last Saturday, which was Impact Wrestling, Destiny Wrestling's big show, one night only, Bad Intentions. So once I found out that was taking place, I got my tickets immediately and I attended that show, and we're going to talk about that show. It was just a absolutely phenomenal show. I absolutely loved it from start to finish. My first Impact Wrestling show, and it was just off the charts amazing. I absolutely loved it. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm not going to give away any spoilers for that show, but I'm going to talk about the show. Again, had a great time there. Got to meet a couple of wrestlers there. I got to meet Alicia Tout is the one of their backstage announcers. Very, very nice young lady. Very, very talented. I got to meet my guy, Gursinder Singh. Terrific. I met Johnny Bravo, the referee. I met Stone Rockwell. I met, who else did I meet? Aiden Prince I met there. Great stuff. Great show. Absolutely loved it. And we're going to talk about it. But before we get into it, I just want to touch upon a few things. First, Pro Wrestling Personified. Follow me on Twitter at PWSOTH. Don't be shy about following me on Twitter. So at PWSOTH. Again, we're with the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. I got a Patreon page up as well. Just costs you $1 a month, and you get exclusive content. I have a old school memory segment called Old School Memories that I do. I put exclusive episodes up there. There's going to be coming up in the future some exclusive interviews, exclusive content. It's just costs you $1 a month, and there's different tiers, but $1 a month is fine. If you want to pay a little more, there are more tiers. You could check it out, but $1 a month. And you're going to get all this great exclusive content. So check it out. Go to tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. I'm sure there's links on there for the Patreon page, or visit them, on Twitter at TappedOutPod, and you could check out, the links to the Patreon page. Check it out. If you like the podcast, feel free to support it on Patreon. I always happy. I'm just thrilled that people are listening to me, here on the, Pro Wrestling Personified podcast, and get a little exclusive material on Patreon. So go ahead and check it out, and that's it. And you can check me out on Facebook as well. Just Pro Wrestling Personified. Just type that in, Pro Wrestling Personified, and go ahead and you can follow me and like me on Facebook as well. So go ahead and check that out. But okay, all right, Impact Wrestling. We got some news. Going to go over some news. Going to go over Bad Intentions. And then we're going to go into recap the show from last Thursday. Sorry, this show is being recorded a little late here, like I said, in Pickering. I was going to record it on Friday evening, but my wife and daughter, they wanted to come and spend some time with me on the weekend, so they came out to Pickering, and it's a small room. I can't really record if they're in the room because there's too much of a distraction, and quite frankly, I can't ask them to leave for half an hour, for about 90 minutes so I can record. So I had to wait for them to leave, so I waited patiently for them to leave, and they're gone now. They just left, and I set my computer up, and I'm recording now. It's Monday the 27th, so it's going to be released a little late. I apologize, but I also want to talk about Bad Intentions as well. So actually, I think I mentioned I was going to record it on Friday. I wouldn't have recorded it on Friday. I would have recorded it on Sunday so I could discuss Bad Intentions. But like I said, they showed up, and I wasn't able to do it, so I'm doing it now. Better late than never. So again, gonna go over some news, gonna go over the tremendous Bad Intentions card, and again, there will be no spoilers, so don't worry if you're listening. It's a one night only show. It's gonna be on the Global Wrestling Network within the next week to 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not exactly sure of the release date, but don't worry. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I'm just going to talk about it. Okay, so there's no need to worry about turning it off. I don't want to hear who wins and who loses. I'm not going to give that away. So, but let's go over some news. Let's go over some news first. Chris Jericho. I want to touch upon Chris Jericho, for a little bit. He was actually, the weeks are going by and it seems more and more likely that he's going to sign with Impact Wrestling. Yeah, here's a quote from Chris Jericho. When someone says, would you ever go to Impact? Actually, this is, when someone says, would you ever go to Impact? Would you ever go to Ring of Honor? Would you ever go here or wherever? Yeah, sure, why not? If it's creatively satisfying, if it's something I can really sink my teeth into, something I can enjoy, then why wouldn't I give it a try? At this point, I've done everything I could do in wrestling. I have loyalty to the WWE, but not a death wish with them or anything like that, where by hook or by crook I have to be with the WWE. I think part of the fun of what's going on right now in the business is there's a real resurgence with independent wrestling and independent companies, and it really gives the WWE a real kick in the ass when people go other places. So there you have it. Quote from Chris Jericho. I really think Chris Jericho is going to sign with Impact Wrestling, because of the friendship that he has with Don Callis and Scott D'Amore. I really think he's going to sign. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not going to be an exclusive contract. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up at Impact or Ring of Honor. But like he says, at this point, he's done everything he could, that he could ever do with professional wrestling. He can go wherever he wants. He can sign any contract that he wants. If he tells Impact Wrestling, I'll wrestle for Impact Wrestling, but I also want to wrestle for Ring of Honor, they're going to tell him, okay, that's fine. So Chris Jericho is going to show up in Impact Wrestling, I think rather sooner than later. He's got the big, of course, it won't be before, well, who knows, it might be before the Jericho Cruise, but he's got the big Jericho Cruise coming up in October. So, just expect to see Chris Jericho in an Impact Wrestling ring, in the near future. In the near future. That's what I'm thinking. That's my prediction. So just, I expect to see it. I expect to see it. And, it's nothing, again, it says he has loyalty to the WWE, but he doesn't have a death wish with them. And he doesn't have to be with the WWE. Wrestlers don't have to be with the WWE anymore. This wrestling is, like you said, there's a great resurgence going on now with independent wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, which I mentioned last week, they sold out Madison Square Garden in a few minutes. They got All In, 10,000 seat arena they sold out. So you don't need to go to the WWE to make a good living anymore. You can, there's options out there, and I'm sure Vince McMahon is kind of sweating bullets right now, because he was at the top of the game for a while, and still at the top of the game, but there's people knocking on his door right now and ready to kick that door in. So Chris Jericho, Impact Wrestling, expected soon, and in my humble opinion, and I think a lot of people agree with me out there. Joe Hendry speaks about why he came to Impact Wrestling. And here's a quote from Joe Hendry. I came to Impact Wrestling because, first of all, I think the company is moving in a great direction. It's somewhere I want to be. It's something I want to be a part of. And also, they are giving me a huge amount of trust and creative freedom with my entrance videos. So it's a place where I really have a platform to do what I do and I have as much fun as possible. It's the right place for me to be in with regard to career development and the creative freedom as well. There you have it, Joe Hendry. And I gotta say, I agree with him 1,000%. The company is moving in the right direction, and it's very refreshing to hear him say that he's been given a huge amount of trust and creative freedom, and that it's a place where he really has a platform to do what he wants to do and have as much fun as possible. That's so awesome. That's so wrestlers are going to read that and they're going to say, well, Impact Wrestling, we're going to go there. It's going to be a good place to work. And trust me, Impact Wrestling is on freaking fire right now. I've been a diehard fan, a loyal fan for many years, since it first started. I've been watching, the old TNA, and I've stuck with them through thick and thin, and I've always been a loyal fan, and it's great to see the position that they're in now, and wrestlers saying this about Impact Wrestling, and even Chris Jericho saying, Impact Wrestling's an option for him. So, just great work there, Don Callis, Scott D'Amore. Really, did a wonderful job with Impact Wrestling. And I said this before, and I'll say it every week. I don't care. It's my show. I'll say what I want. But they're doing a terrific job with Impact Wrestling. And, it's a great show to watch. And if you're still knocking it, then, I just gotta say that's your problem. That's your problem. Impact Wrestling is freaking awesome, man. Freaking awesome right now. It's on fire. Absolutely on fire right now. Wow. And speaking of Joe Hendry, my man BQ on the Impact Lounge, he, recently did an interview with, Joe Hendry. So go ahead and check that out. Impact Lounge, it's, at BQ Speaks on Twitter. He's on, YouTube as well. The Impact Lounge. Go ahead and check it out. He recently interviewed Joe Hendry, and it was a terrific interview. And, check it out. The Impact Lounge, interviewing Joe Hendry. It was a really good interview. So go ahead, check it out. Joe Hendry on the Impact Lounge. Alright. And, I think, they've actually, I think I mentioned this last week, but they've announced that they're returning to Mexico, for 2 days of tapings in Mexico, which should be great. It's from what I understand, it's gonna be a nice size arena that they're gonna be, taping I'm just going to pull it up here. Let's see where they're taping. They're going to be taping the first TV tapings ever in September. They're going to be in Mexico. I'm just looking here online to see, they're going to be in Mexico City, Mexico. Mexico City, Mexico at, I hope I pronounced this right, September 13th and 14th at Fronton, Mexico, in Mexico City, Mexico. So it's gonna, I'm not sure how many people, I think I read somewhere that it's a nice size arena. And they're trying to obviously sign some AAA wrestlers. I know La Parka they're trying to get. You can expect to see the Lucha Brothers there, Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix, Austin Aries, Johnny Impact, Eli Drake. All the stars of Impact Wrestling, of course, will be there. Sami Callihan. I'm sure we'll see Callihan and Phoenix go at it. OVE and the Lucha Brothers feud will continue down there. So looking forward to that. It's going to be Impact Wrestling is it, man. And I like how they're not spending like a week in one location. They're going 2 days in one location, then they're moving to another location for the taping. So they're keeping it fresh. And like when they were at the Impact Zone, they would tape 5 days of tapings at the Impact Zone, and by the time they got to the last couple of matches, the crowd was burnt out. But this is a good idea what they're doing, and I think they're doing it because they don't want the burnt out crowd. 2 days worth of taping. They're there for 2 days. They're not there for 5 days. They're for 2 days. They do one set of tapings, and then they do a second set of tapings, then they move on to another location for tapings. So it keeps it fresh. It keeps it exciting. And, like I said, they're doing a absolutely tremendous job right now with Impact Wrestling. And I absolutely love it. I can't say them enough how much I love Impact Wrestling right now. I've always been a fan, like I said earlier, and I don't want to repeat myself, but right now it's Impact Wrestling is one of the hottest promotions right now. If you disagree with me, that's your problem, but I think you'll agree with me on that one right now. But anyway, all right, so let's move on. Let's move on to Bad Intentions. Impact Wrestling, Destiny Wrestling, one night only. Bad Intentions took place in Mississauga, Ontario, at the Don Kolov Arena, but for one night it became the Don Callis Arena, and that was pretty cool. Halfway through the show they renamed it the Don Callis Arena, and the entire crowd was singing Don Callis Arena, and Don Callis was leading them on. It was just a great moment. So I'm gonna call it the Don Callis Arena, and let me tell you, it was my first Impact Wrestling show. Like I said, I was here. I got called to Toronto for work, and thankfully so. I'm very happy for that because I got to see the show, and when I saw that the tapings were the show was taking place on the 25th, I was like, I gotta go. I have to go see the show. I'm here. I looked at the card. The card was tremendous, and I had to go. So I called one of my buddies. He said he'd go, so we went. I would have gone by myself anyway, but we went there, and we got there really early because we had general admission tickets, and we got online. We were like maybe maybe like the 7th or 8th person online because we wanted to get the good seats. So we got there 2 hours early, and you're just waiting online is almost like an event in itself because everyone is like all pumped up and talking about Impact Wrestling and you hear people talking about how much they don't like the WWE, and I felt right at home, right? I felt right at home instantly because people talking about how, WrestleMania sucked and how SummerSlam was horrible and how they don't like the WWE and they can't wait to get in to see the show and just talking. It was just being there with the crowd is like I said, I felt right at home there, and it was great, to be around other Impact Wrestling fans, and then we're waiting there, and here comes Alicia Toots, and she comes out and. While we're waiting online, and she cuts a little promo, and she goes into the crowd, she interacts with the crowd, which was cool. Alicia Toots, of course, is the backstage announcer and interviewer for Impact Wrestling, and she's actually just signed by Destiny Wrestling as well, so she's getting a lot of work, and deservedly so, because she's very, 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 very talented, and it was cool seeing her come out and interact with the crowd, and then she went back in, and finally they let us in, and we went to the general admission area, and we got seats right ringside. We were ringside, right where the wrestlers came out, and it was just when I got there and I sat down, I was like, I couldn't believe how close I was to the ring. It was just, and to see the Impact Wrestling ring, see it on TV all the time, but to see it in person was really, really, really freaking awesome, man. And I was so pumped up. Man. I was like I said, my first Impact Wrestling show, and I was so thrilled that I was there. And the show finally got started. Everyone came in, and they announced Don Callis and Scott D'Amore, and they came out, and the crowd went wild. And Don Callis, Scott D'Amore were the announce team, and Don Callis leading the crowd, and they were cheering, they were high-fiving everybody. So it was really cool seeing them. Really seeing them come out, and then they announced the first match, of course, was OVE against the Desi Hit Squad, and just a tremendous opening bout from start to finish. I'm a huge fan of the Desi Hit Squad. Gursinder Singh, Rohit Raju, those are my guys. They had a terrific match with OVE. Good back and forth action. Definitely have to see the match when it's released on the Global Wrestling Network. It's a great way to open the show. And I'm fortunate enough I got to meet Gursinder Singh later on in the show. I bought a T-shirt. I bought a Desi Hit Squad T-shirt. Had to show my support to him and the Desi Hit Squad. So I got my T-shirt, met with him, got a picture with Gursinder Singh, so it was really cool. And I also met Alicia Toots as well. I got a nice picture with Alicia Toots. Very, very nice young lady. And again, I'm going to say she's very, 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 very talented. She's going to go far in the world of professional wrestling. She does a terrific job. And it was great meeting both of them there. I also met, I met Stone Rockwell, got to shake his hand, met Johnny Bravo, Aiden Prince, as I mentioned earlier. So it was, did I mention it earlier? I might have mentioned it earlier, because I'm getting so excited right now talking about the show again. But I got to meet them. Aiden Prince, really, really cool, very, very young, talented, wrestler. He was involved in a three-way match, with Dustin Quicksilver. You'll remember him as Dustin Cameron, as he took on Austin Aries, a few weeks back. And Ace Austin, I believe the other wrestler's name was. And they had a terrific three-way match. And Aiden Prince was just fantastic in the match, as was Quicksilver and Ace Austin. So it was a terrific three-way match. Got to see Kiera Hogan, the girl on fire. She went one-on-one with Casey Spinelli. Another really, really good match between two very, very talented wrestlers there. It was just, Kiera Hogan, seeing Kiera Hogan in person, again, you see her on TV, but when you see her in person, she's just so talented. And I got a high five from Kiera Hogan as well, which was really cool. They had a really good match. And Casey Spinelli, two scoops, how could you not like Casey Spinelli? Impact Wrestling needs to sign her full time. It was a really, really good one-on-one match between the two. We saw Phil Atlas going against Greg Osborne. Greg Osborne was on Impact Wrestling recently against it was a squash match against Sami Callihan, but Greg Osborne is very, very talented. He has a chance to shine, and he should be given an opportunity. And this was a really good match as well against Phil Atlas. I really like Greg Osborne, aka Sam Osborne, but he goes by Greg Osborne in Impact Wrestling. And really, really big fan of his, and he's really, really nice guy. I spoke to him. He was on my podcast not too long ago, and we've been speaking for a bit. Really, really nice guy, and very, very talented. So keep your eyes on Greg Osborne, as well as Aiden Prince. Aiden Prince is another guy, as Dustin Quicksilver as well. So those are three guys you need to keep your eyes on. Aiden Prince, Dustin Quicksilver, Greg Osborne. Ace Austin as well has potential. And of course I gotta throw in my man Kobe Christ. So Kobe Christ, UCW, Atlantic Canada. Keep your eyes on him as well. He wasn't on the show, but I wanted to throw that in there. I've wanted to see Tessa Blanchard live for a while because I think she's one of the best women wrestlers in the world. And I got my chance to see her. She took on, Giselle Shaw. Another tremendous match. Really, really good back and forth action. Tessa Blanchard coming out with the Impact Wrestling women's the Knockouts title, defending against Giselle Shaw. And Giselle Shaw is really, really talented. This was a really good match. Giselle Shaw is another woman that Impact Wrestling should consider signing to a full-time contract, because she has it, man. She has it. This was a really, really good match, and it was really cool seeing Tessa Blanchard. You'll grow up watching her father, Tully Blanchard. Now I get to watch Tessa do her thing in the ring, and she's absolutely one of the best in the world. And it was really, really cool seeing Tessa Blanchard live. And Stone Rockwell was there against Holden Albright, which was a decent match. It was always fun seeing Stone Rockwell. Petey Williams against Michael Elgin. This was absolutely a phenomenal match. Absolutely phenomenal. Elgin and Petey Williams, two extremely talented wrestlers, two of the best Canadian wrestlers, if not the best wrestlers in the world, going one-on-one, and the crowd really appreciated it. This is awesome chants, chanting, please come back, to Michael Elgin. I've watched New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I've seen Michael Elgin many times in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but to see him live, to see that buckle bomb live is something to see, man. It was really, really cool. Terrific match between those two. And this is a must-watch match. So when this comes on, you have to watch that match. Petey Williams against Michael Elgin. And the main event, Josh Alexander's against Sami Callihan. Again, love Sami Callihan. Big fan. Josh Alexander, so freaking talented. The walking weapon. And they had a tremendous main event in a steel cage. Again, no spoilers, but Josh Alexander's, I will say, because pictures are all over Facebook, he did get busted wide open. I don't think that was supposed to happen. But it happened, but he continued the match, and apparently he spent the night in the hospital, and he's okay, but that was one hell of a cage match between Alexander and Sami Callihan. Josh Alexander, Callis, D'Amore, you gotta get this guy on the Impact roster ASAP. So bottom line, Bad Intentions, Impact Wrestling, Destiny Wrestling was absolutely freaking phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. Tremendous experience. I would say there was maybe 300-400 people in the crowd, but they were all true Impact Wrestling fans. Chants of this is Impact Wrestling, this is awesome, was resonating through the arena all night long, and it was just great to be a part of that experience, of being there with all those true Impact Wrestling fans. Absolutely loved it. My seats couldn't have been better. I got some great pictures. You go on Facebook, Pro Wrestling Personified Podcast. I posted some really, really cool pictures of the entire show. So check it out, man. You gotta check it. I don't know the exact date, but this is a must watch, one night only event. And I know they filmed one in Binghamton, New York as well, the Night of the Dummies. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. But, this one you gotta see. This one, Bad Intentions. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. My next event is going to be October 6th. Border City Wrestling, another one night only event. A lot of Impact Wrestling stars are going to be there. Eli Drake, Johnny Impact, Congo Kong, Moose is going to be there. Aiden Prince will be there as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that show, October 6th. It was a great experience. I can't wait to go back. I'm actually considering, they have one night only events up here in Toronto. I'm actually considering driving up here for them now. Because it was that good. It was that good. There's just, you have to be, you could watch Impact Wrestling on TV, but to actually be in the arena and see it live is just a whole different ball game. And I was just glad I was there. I'm glad I went, and you gotta watch it when it comes on the Global Wrestling Network. Alright, so let's talk about Impact Wrestling show, which took place last Thursday. Coming from Toronto again. Matches that were on the show. We had Matt Sydal against Zachary Wentz, KM and Falaba against the Desi Hit Squad, Kiera Hogan against Alicia Edwards, Brandon Tillwell and Mr. Atlantis taking on the Cult of Lee. That was a strange match. And, of course, a Mexican death match, Sami Callihan against Pentagon Jr. But the show opened, actually, Eddie Edwards actually opened the show last week, and he came out and basically cut a promo. Says he's looking for a fight, cut a promo on Austin Aries and Killer Cross. Says he's a man with nothing to lose, and he wants Killer Cross and Austin Aries for a fight. Austin Aries and Killer Cross, of course, they oblige to come out. Eventually they wind up brawling. Eddie Edwards, he gets the better of the brawl until, did he get the better of the brawl? I think, yeah, he got, Eddie Edwards attacked him, I think, with the stick, and then, eventually, Aries and Killer Cross, they get the better of him. Cross gets a chokehold on Eddie Edwards. Austin Aries slaps on the figure 4, and poor Eddie Edwards is in trouble. Who's going to save him? I was thinking, and I was hoping that, actually, let me tell you what I was hoping after. Moose came out. Moose made his return. He came out with a chair and chased off Killer Cross and Austin Aries, which is setting up Moose and Edwards against Austin Aries and Killer Cross. But I was thinking, kind of hoping, I guess the guy doesn't want to come back to pro wrestling right now. I think he's in school, but I was kind of hoping that, poor Eddie Edwards, nobody would want to help him, because, crazy Eddie Edwards has alienated himself from everyone, that nobody would come out to help him, and, eventually he would go looking for help, and Davey Richards, his former partner, would return, to stand by Eddie Edwards' side. So that's what I thought that would have been cool. I was kind of hoping, instead of Moose, like David Richards would come out to save him, but it was Moose. It was Moose. I would have. I'm sure. I don't know if maybe if they did explore the David Richards angle, but maybe Richards doesn't want to come back. But I just thought it would be really cool that even if it, like I said, nobody came out this week to save him, that he's all alone and needs help, and finally David Richards shows up and stands side by side with him. I think that would have been pretty cool. But Moose coming out was cool. So Moose has a history with Austin Aries as well, and nothing wrong with Moose and Eddie Edwards taking on Killer Cross and Austin Aries. So that's that match is actually going to be on next week, I believe, for Redefined. So Redefined next week, we should see that match. But it was cool. The crowd didn't pop like I think they wanted the crowd to pop. Again, maybe they were just a little tired. They were only there for I don't know how long they were. I think they were there for more than 2 days for the set of tapings. But Moose made the save, and I thought Eddie Edwards was pretty good. I thought he cut a good promo. And I'm glad the feud is continuing. It makes sense. I think Edwards and Moose might have had a previous friendship on screen. So I guess it makes sense for Moose coming out. But it should be a really good match. I love Killer Cross. I love the character. Of course, I'm sure he's gonna turn on Austin Aries, or Austin Aries is gonna turn on him sooner or later, and we're gonna get a Austin Aries Killer Cross feud. But right now, I like the combination of Aries and Killer Cross, and they have their opponents, Eddie Edwards and Moose, and looking forward to that match next week, Redefined. So let's move on from there. From there, we had an OVE video promo. Alicia Edwards, actually, she came out and she said she's happy that Moose is back, and that he has Eddie's back, and she says she's forgiven Eddie. She's happy that Moose is back. I can't remember everything, man. This was a few days ago. So she's happy that Moose is back and has Eddie's back. Then after that, match 2, we had Zachary Wentz against Matt Sydal. Zachary Wentz was on the Iowa Twitter special. Is one half of a tag team with what's Desmond Xavier, and they were on the Iowa Twitter Twitch special. I should say Did I say Twitter? Iowa Twitch special a few weeks back. I think it was called Pentagon Takes Iowa or something like that. But I was expecting, because I know Matt Sydal has had a number of losses the last couple of weeks, and I thought this was going to be a squash match for Matt Sydal. But it wasn't. I didn't think Sydal was going to lose his match. I thought it was going to be a squash match. But this was it wasn't long. It was a short match, but it was a really, really freaking good one. Zachary Wentz is freaking talented, man. And, it was good back and forth, solid action between the two. I really liked it. He went in a nice corkscrew crossbody on Matt Sydal, and he has potential. He was hitting some nice spots. Bring him in. Desmond Xavier, Zachary Wentz, put them, I think they're called the Rascals or something. I didn't write the name down, but they make a great team. And that would be a good addition to the Impact Wrestling Tag Team roster. So I would say sign Zachary Wentz. I want Zachary Wentz back. I want to see him back in Impact Wrestling. Him and Desmond Xavier, because Desmond Xavier doesn't seem to be in the X Division picture right now. So put them with Zachary Wentz. Bring them in. Let them be a tag team. I think it will be a great addition to the Impact Wrestling Tag Team roster. So, Matt Sydal does win the match, of course. He picks up the win. But, I think the story here was Zachary Wentz. He was very, very impressive here. And, like I said, I want to see more of Zachary Wentz. Alright, then after that we had a, Cult of Lee and Eli Drake segment. Eli Drake says that they're not friends. Cult of Lee is confused. They're trying to rally Eli Drake and the friendship that they supposedly have with him. But some jobbers arrive, and Eli Drake says, you're facing these guys, or take on these two today. And something along those lines, and then we have a match. Between the two. And of course we found out it was Brandon Tillwell and Mr. Atlantis. I couldn't catch the names, so I looked the names up, but so those are the two guys, Brandon Tillwell and Mr. Atlantis. Will be meeting the Cult of Lee later on in the show. So, I didn't know what to make of it. It wasn't the best segment. Eli Drake is so talented. I think he's a little lost. I don't know. It could be, maybe it's, I don't know, is lost the right word? Or maybe, the cult of, they shouldn't be together. They shouldn't be, I don't know, Eli Drake doesn't need to be in a faction. He doesn't need to be associated with the Cult of Lee. Granted, he said that they aren't friends, and he said they're not associated with each other, but they're doing the thing here. Cult of Lee and Eli Drake. But Eli Drake, he could stand on his own. He doesn't need to be with anybody right now. He's proven that how talented he is, and Eli Drake just needs to be with Eli Drake. Cult of Lee, Trevor Lee, extremely talented wrestler. So freaking talented. I can't say how enough, and I say it a lot, that Trevor Lee comes across like a buffoon. I'm sorry, he's not a buffoon. He's a very, very talented wrestler, but he comes across as a buffoon on Impact Wrestling, and I don't know why. They have an extremely talented individual, and they're just using him the wrong way, in my opinion. They should unleash Trevor Lee. Forget the cult of Lee. Forget the cult of Lee. He doesn't need to be in the cult of Lee, for crying out loud. I'm sorry. He doesn't need to be in the cult of Lee. He's with Caleb Conley. Caleb Conley's another, I'm sorry. I get frustrated. Because I know the talent that they have there, but I think they're misusing him so much, and I really think that contract's going to come up, and Trevor Lee is going to say, I'm headed over to NXT, and he's going to become a megastar there, because he has it. He has the potential. If you've seen independent wrestling shows with him, his matches are just fantastic. He's just so talented, and they're really using him the wrong way. So I'm pleading, please, let's end this nonsense with Trevor Lee. Let's end the nonsense with Trevor Lee. Separate Trevor Lee and Eli Drake. They should just be separate. Trevor Lee, Eli Drake feud would be fantastic. If this is leading up to that, I'm all for it. But stop making Trevor Lee look like a buffoon. And they made him look like a buffoon. We're going to talk about the match later on. And they really made him look like a buffoon. Well, let's talk about it now. We don't need to go in order. The match took place against Mr. Atlantis and Brandon Tillwell, and they lost. They lost in less than, in a very, I don't know the time, but could have been a little over a minute maybe. They lost the match to these jobbers, Brandon Tillwell and Mr. Atlantis, and I'm thinking, why? I mean, Eli Drake came out to watch, but I'm thinking, why? Why would they lose? Why have Trevor Lee and Caleb Conley lose to Brandon Tillwell and Mr. Atlantis? Tillwell and Atlantis, we've never seen them before. I personally I don't know who they are. I've never seen them before. They're obviously independent wrestlers. But why have them lose? I don't get it. I didn't like this at all. They look like complete idiots, the Cult of Lead. And this is like I said, very talented, man. Even if you don't want to make them single wrestlers, they're a good, solid tag team. Crying out loud, and they lost to Brandon Tillwell. How is that going to help the Cult of Lee? And what is that, and with this whole thing, this whole relationship with Eli Drake that they're trying to prove themselves to Eli Drake. They're trying to prove themselves to Eli Drake, but why? Why does Trevor Lee need to prove himself to Eli Drake? He's had the X Division title, I think, 3 times. Why is he trying to, why is the storyline Trevor Lee and Caleb Conley trying to prove themselves to Eli Drake, and they must be from, why? I don't like it. I don't like this. And, I mean, the One Night Only on Twitch, Trevor Lee, when you see Trevor Lee on the One Night Onlys and the Twitch specials, he's terrific. He's great. That's the Trevor Lee I want on these Impact shows, but we're not getting it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't see any reasoning behind it. I don't know. I don't want him to leave. I don't want Trevor Lee to leave Impact Wrestling. That's my biggest fear. Trevor Lee, I don't want him to leave. So please, let's get our act together. Let's get our act together with Trevor Lee, man. Let's end this Cult of Lee. I would say take him off TV for a little bit. Let him think about, the Cult of Lee and what he's done and the mistakes he's made, and let him come back as a House of Fire and put him on a winning streak. Give him the X Division title again. Let him be the first person to defeat Brian Cage, to regain the X Division title. I would write that in, because, he's that damn good. He's that damn good, but I don't know. But anyway. And Eli Drake, he signs a long-term contract, and he's got to do something else besides this this whole Cult of Lee thing. They gotta get him back in the world title picture. After this whole Eddie Edwards thing is done, Eli Drake needs to jump in and jump into this world title picture and feud with Austin Aries. I could see, he could feud with Austin Aries and Killer Cross. Maybe he could bring somebody bring somebody in to help him. Not Dakota Lee. I think they should stay separate from Eli Drake, of course, and I made my point on that already. But you can bring Chris Adonis back, bring it back Chris Adonis and let them feud with Austin Aries and Killer Cross. But anyway, something needs to be done with, something positive needs to be done with Trevor Lee and Caleb Conley. Trevor Lee the most. Caleb Conley is talented, but he's not Trevor Lee talented, in my opinion. But anyway, so let's move on. We had, Brian Cage. Brian Cage, though it was a little funny last night. Brian Cage, spoke for the first time this week. He cut a pre-tape promo. I know he's a good talker. He's a good talker. I was impressed. I thought they were like him talk because he lacked promo skills or something. But, no, he came across, he's very well spoken. It wasn't an in-ring promo, but it was pre-taped. But he spoke about Bobby Lashley, talked about that he's the president and, that he's focused on the X Division. He wants to rewrite the history of the X Division. He talked about Phoenix next week and the match that's coming up next week, Redefined, which should be tremendous. Brian Cage defending against Phoenix. So it was a decent segment. It was a decent segment. So, he's well spoken. Let him cut more promos. I give him the mic in the ring. Unleash him in the ring and let him talk. There's nothing wrong with his promo skills in my opinion. But then again, this was pre-taped, so they could always cut and start again. Once you're rolling, in the ring, you're live, so, but he seemed okay, so, give him a shot. I say give him a shot at, cutting a promo in the ring. Again, saying that he lacks, in-ring promo skills, I'm talking off the top of my head. I'm sure he's fine. I don't want to get Brian Cage upset, so let me, because you never know. He might be listening to it. If I tag him on Twitter, he might say, "Hey, look, I'm tagged on Twitter, and I'm going to listen to this." So I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's got fine in-ring promos in the ring. But anyway, let's move on. From there, we got the Global Wrestling Network moment of the week, which featured AJ Styles making his return, and when he was dark AJ Styles, and he returned and he attacked Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels as they were attacking James Storm, but then he turned on James Storm, and he was basically the man on his kind of like their version of the Crow Sting, when the whole Sting NWO thing. So they were trying to make AJ Styles into that type of character. So they showed that, but it was a very quick segment. They didn't show like a 6-7 minute match. It was like a really quick segment, and they got it right this week. They kept it short. They kept it short and sweet, and it was very, very quick. And they just showed him making his return, attacking James Storm and Kazarian and Daniels, and that was it. And then we got a Falaba and KM segment. Falaba has a gift bag with a picture of him on it, which was quite funny, and he gave to KM. And KM looked inside, he was confused, and Ba called him, it was a mystery gift. And KM wanted to know if this was supposed to help them, and Falaba just said Ba, which I guess meant yes, and they went to the ring, and we had our next match, which was Desi Hit Squad. My boys, Gursinder Singh and Rahit Raju, again, met Gursinder Singh at Bad Intentions. A really, really nice guy, really nice individual. Got my Desi Hit Squad shirt, so they took on KM and Falaba. And I was nervous here, and rightfully so, because KM and Falaba, I know they're getting a little push here, and I really didn't want Desi Hit Squad to lose again. I know they lost their last tag team match against Taji Ishimori and Petey Williams, so I was really nervous here that they were going to lose, and my nerves served me well. My nervousness served me well, because they did lose the match to KM and Falaba, and I was quite disappointed in that, because this is the second match. They seem to be on a losing streak right now, and I think this is a very, very talented tag team, and I really hope that Scott D'Amore and Don Callis and the powers that be in Impact Wrestling have given up on the Desi Hit Squad. so soon. Their match against OVE at Bad Intentions was a tremendous match. One that you have to see. Great back and forth action in that one. This one was a good match as well. Not quite as good as the OVE match. I'll be honest. But this was a good match as well. But this was KM and Falaba. They're a fun tag team. The crowd is into it. And by the way, the gift was a pair of sumo pants for KM. So KM came out wearing his sumo pants. So that was the mystery gift. Matching sumo pants like Falaba has on. So, but they're a fun tag team. The crowd is into it, and the crowd loves it. It's good interacting with the crowd. Falaba is very talented, and KM is talented as well. So they make a fun tag team. But they could have put them up. They should have put them up against somebody else, a lesser tag team. Not the Desi Hit Squad. I'm sorry, but the Desi Hit Squad shouldn't have lost. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Desi Hit Squad. And to see them lose 2 matches in a row, they came out, they went on a bit of a winning streak, but now, like I said, they're on the losing streak right now, and I think it's wrong. I think they need to be built up as to be, Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championship, challenges for the Impact Wrestling Tag Team titles. The very, very talented tag team. And I've said that I think 3 times already, so I don't think I don't want to keep repeating myself there, but KM and Falaba do win the match, like I said. And at one point there was a sit down splash on Gursinder Singh. I wonder and he's going to be on the show. I'm going to try to get him on. We're talking sometime. He can't come on until September, November, but I'm going to ask him. What's it like? You're just being on your back and Falaba about to hit you with a sit down splash. That's going to be scary, man. Because he got hit with that sit down splash from Falaba, and that's gotta hurt. That's gonna be one hell of a move to take. And they did the steamroll thing. I think they did it twice. KM and Falaba. I think they smacked heads at the first time, which was cool. Well, not cool, but it was funny. And Don Callis kind of brought it up. But nothing against KM and Falaba. But I don't think Desi Hit Squad should be losing matches. I know they've beaten KM and Falaba in the past. I think twice, unless KM and Falaba are being pushed to be opponents for LAX, next opponents for LAX. I don't know, but I think it was a mistake. And I like to see the Desi Hit Squad get back to the winning ways. Unless this is just part of the storyline where Gama Singh is going to get really, really upset and really start punishing them and pushing them and make them more vicious or something like that. Unless it's part of a storyline. But I really hope that the powers that be at Impact Wrestling have not given up on the Desi Hit Squad, because it would be way, way too soon. This is a very, 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 very good tag team, and I want to see a lot more of the Desi Hit Squad. And I will be October 6th. I'm pretty sure that the Desi Hit Squad will be there October 6th at the next One and Only event that I'm attending, and I'll be proudly wearing my Desi Hit Squad shirt. So there you have it. Then we had I'm pausing because it was an awful segment. Joe Hendry, Grado, and Katarina are in the back talking. And then their talk is over, and then Scarlett Bordeaux meets up with Grado as she's backstage. And they talk for a bit, and then I thought it was turning into a smoke show with Scarlett Bordeaux, but it wasn't an actual official smoke show. But I don't know. She invited him on the show for next week, and she said that if she does something for him, he's got to do something for her. And then we see Grado pole dancing, and this was not humorous. This was not a good segment. didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. I know Grado's a comedy act, and he's about to, Joe Hendry and Katarina are about to turn on him, but I don't understand what the hell this segment was all about. I didn't like it. They were going for laughs. I didn't think it was funny. I don't know. Not sure why they had to show this portion, this segment on the show. It wasn't entertaining. Just a waste of 3 or 4 minutes in my opinion. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Because the next match I really liked, which was Kiera Hogan going one-on-one with Alicia Edwards. Of course, the girl on fire, who, again, want to thank her for the high five at Bad Intentions. And this was a good match. This was a good back and forth action. They both worked really hard. Kiera Hogan looked really good. Ali actually accompanied her to the ring. And it was really, really good back and forth action. Edwards hit some nice spots. Kiera Hogan hit some nice spots. But Kiera Hogan does get the win here, as expected. And she wins the match. But then Ali comes in. She praises Kiera Hogan. She says she doesn't want to take away from Kiera Hogan's win, but she has something she wants to get off her chest. She has something on her mind, and Kiera Hogan says, "You go, you say what's on your mind." And she cuts a promo on Su Yung, and she says, what'd she say here? She cuts, hold on, let me get to my notes. She cuts a promo on Su Yung, and then she says she wants to put an end to Su Yung, but Tessa Blanchard is always interfering. So she wants both Tessa Blanchard and Su Yung in a triple threat match, which we will see next week. So next week, it will be, actually Tessa Blanchard said the only way she would accept the match is if it's a title match. So I'm pretty sure this is the match, and I'm not giving away a spoiler here because Impact Wrestling gave it away. They gave it away, so this is the match where Tessa Blanchard wins the Impact Wrestling Knockouts title. So that is for next week on Impact Redefined. We have the triple threat match for the Knockouts title. Then we have a good segment here. Rich Swann is interviewed by Alicia Atout. They talk about Rich Swann signing with Impact. Rich Swann says that he wants the X Division title. He wants to be added to the great list of names that have held that title. And we find out that next week he goes one-on-one with Petey Williams. And that should be a tremendous, tremendous match. I like Rich Swann. I'm so glad he signed long-term with Impact Wrestling. I really like Rich Swann. And next week's match against Petey Williams should be fantastic, and I'm looking forward to that. Then we have a very controversial segment, and I didn't touch upon it in the beginning because a lot of people are talking about it, and it initially appalled me, and I spoke with Nick from the Top Down Wrestling Podcast Network. But I gave it some thoughts, and it was the LAX is celebrating their win against the OGZs last week, and they're celebrating. And Conan, there's a little kid there named Richie or Ricky, and they put the titles on him. They gave him the tag team titles. And Conan says he has a surprise for Santana and Ortiz. And they said that he says he has a surprise for little Ricky as well. They said it's in the car. So they get up and start walking over to the car. But then you see King in a car, and as they're crossing the street, he speeds up, and he tries to run over Conan, but he misses Conan, and he hits the kid. He hits little Ricky, and apparently, the indication is that little Ricky was killed. So we had an apparent child death on Impact Wrestling, and I initially was appalled. I was shocked. I was like, okay, why are they showing a kid being killed in Impact Wrestling? And I spoke to Nick about it, and I told him how I felt, and he agreed that it was shocking, and it's something he said he had to see for himself. And I don't know if he actually watched it yet. I haven't spoken to him about it afterwards, but I thought about it, and bottom line is, yeah, they showed a child's death, or an apparent child's death on Impact Wrestling, but it wasn't a real child's death. It was a storyline death. So the kid's not really dead. And if you watch movies, if you look at movies, look on TV, there are movies and TV shows where kids are dying, where kids are being killed. So they're going for the shock factor here. They're going for the shock factor here. Whether you like it or not, that's entirely up to you to decide. But bottom line is, I get it. I understand. It's not a real show. A kid really didn't die. It's part of a storyline. Just like in the movies, just like on a TV show. So, the kid's okay. Little Ricky's not really dead. And we're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see, I just, we'll see where it goes. They're trying to, this is gang warfare here. They're showing gang warfare, and I'm not part of a gang, and I never will be part of a gang, but gang warfare, unfortunately there are casualties in gang warfare, and they're trying to make this as real as possible. They're trying to make this storyline scene as real as possible. So I get it. I understand. I get it. So I'm not really appalled anymore. I'm not disgusted. You turn on TV. I could turn on the TV right now and watch something, and a kid will be killed. So it's the same thing. So, and I know a lot of people were complaining about it online, and Conan was getting involved. Conan was defending it. He's calling people snowflakes. He's calling people snowflakes on Twitter. So he was shooting back. So, but I get it. I understand. Just storyline. They're going for the shock value. They're trying to make it seem as real as possible. So I understand. And everyone out there who's upset, it's okay. Little Ricky is just fine. He's not really dead. So that's my take on that. And so, but after watching that though, I'm really anxious to see what happens, what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next year? There's going to be a lot. It's going to be hell to pay. This feud is far from over, and I have to say I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see what happens next. So that's it. That's my take on it. And then from there we have Pentagon Jr. We had the Mexican death match between Sami Callihan and Pentagon Jr. And it wasn't as violent as the Slammiversary match. And overall, I thought it was a really, really good match. I guess the Mexican death match, there was a lot of weapons hidden in piñatas. So I guess in Mexican death matches they have piñatas, weapons hidden in piñatas, because there was Lego in piñatas. There was a baseball bat that Callihan hid in a piñata. There was a staple gun that was introduced into the match. When he took out the staple gun, to the 12-year-old, I don't like this. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say it. But the young looking referee, he looked on in horror. I'm from New York. I say horror. Everything ends with an A. I say mirror. I say horror. He looked on in horror when he took down the staple gun. And I guess everything is legal. Everything's legal in a Mexican death match. So hide the weapons in a piñata. But he gets the staple gun and he staples Sami Callihan in the arms, and then he staples the hat to the head, and then he rips off the hat. And don't think there was any blood, so I don't think it was really stapled, to be honest. But anyway, this was good back and forth. Anytime these two get together, you're gonna have a really, really, really good match. And this was a great main event. I don't know if this is the end of the feud, but this was definitely the best match of the show. And I really, I hope it's not the end. I would love to see more Pentagon Jr. Sami Callihan matches. But Sami Callihan does win the match. He hits a cactus driver through a table on Pentagon Jr. for the win. Does win the match, but terrific match. Good way to end the show. Good way to end the show this week. I love Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan was tremendous. He is tremendous. Anytime you see Sami Callihan, you're going to get one hell of a show and one hell of a match. And no matter who his opponent is, to be honest, he's very, very talented, as is Pentagon Jr. So it's be interesting to see if this is the end of the feud, like I said, or if we're gonna see more OVE versus Lucha Brothers at the Mexico tapings that are coming up. But anyway, next week we have the Redefined special X Division title match, Brian Cage versus Phoenix, Knockouts title match, as I mentioned earlier, Su Yung putting titles on the line against Ali and Tessa Blanchard, Rich Swann going one-on-one with Petey Williams, Austin Aries and Killer Cross versus Moose and Eddie Edwards, and the Smoke Show with Scarlett Bordeaux returns with Joe Hendry, Grado, and Katarina. And that can't be any worse than Grado pole dancing. So next week's show on paper looks absolutely freaking phenomenal. I can't wait for next week's show, the Redefined special. So until next week, I'm gonna say I am Lewis Carlin. This is the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. We are part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. This is Impact Wrestling edition of the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. And until next week, take care. Bye bye. Stay safe, everyone. So long. Bye bye.